But we started with beginning of chapter 3. And there's some nice things that come before chapter 3 in chapter 2. And that is, Krishna has been transferred from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki to the womb of Devaki. And then the prison house becomes bright. Here's something that I came across for the first time yesterday evening. How many wives did Vasudeva had? Many wives. What was the number? 7 of his wives came from one father. Devaka had 7 daughters headed by Devaki. That's 7. And then 11 other wives. He was a busy guy. 18 wives. And when Kamsa started doing what Kamsa was doing, he not only sent one of his wives, Rohini, to stay with Nanda, but the other 17 wives, or all 17 together. So it was just Devaki in the prison. And they were no longer, because they weren't the one who was prophesied by his voice in the sky that said, the 8th child of Devaki will kill you. So there they are in prison, and Krishna is in the womb of Devaki, and Krishna was effulgent, so the prison house became effulgent, and others could see. So this is it. The 8th child of Devaki is about to appear, and so Kamsa doubled the guard. And then, so he was counting the months, how many months from the pregnancy, the beginning of the pregnancy. And we heard yesterday, maybe you remember, Krishna appeared in the 8th month of her pregnancy, Devaki's pregnancy. And the same thing happened with Rohini, with Yashoda, 8th month of pregnancy. So there were a couple of questions that came up. One of them was this little discussion about Immaculate Conception. Remember that discussion? It was in the question and answer session. So you'll hear a short reference where it's explicitly expressed in Gopal Champu. Gopal Champu has some things about Krishna's pastimes that aren't in the Bhagavatam. It's Jiva Goswami's writing. Gopal Champu. Champu is just a certain type of literature, and Jiva Goswami knew that type of literature. He wrote a book on how to write a Champu, and then he wrote a few of them. Well, it's following the format of a Champu. So Gopal Champu is a Champu, a book about the Gopal, the child Gopal. And there was a discussion that Sri Radhika presented, but I didn't have the answers, so I started research, and I researched it, and I didn't. It's not complete, but it's much more than yesterday. The question one of the questions was, when Vasudeva was carrying Krishna from Mathura to Gokul, Krishna slipped from his hands. She heard that Krishna slipped from his hands. He fell into the river, and the river was really wild at that particular time. And he panicked. He couldn't find Krishna. Newborn child, literally, that night. So he couldn't find Krishna, and then he found Krishna. And the explanation that she heard, which I had also heard, I said I would research if I could find the reference. I wasn't able to find the reference. That was when the Vasudeva Krishna was exchanged for the Krishna who never leaves Vrindavan, Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. And then it was that Swayam Bhagavan Krishna who was placed by the side of Yashoda. And then when the return, when Akrura was bringing Krishna and Balaram back to Mathura, Akrura took bath in the river Yamuna, and when he went to the bath of the river Yamuna, he saw Krishna and Balaram in the river Yamuna. And he went back and he saw them on the chariot. So then he went back and he saw what he saw. He saw Anantashesh and saw the whole scene and all the devas and all the prayers. And so he had this revelation or realization that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. This child that he's bringing, or youngster that he's bringing back to Mathura, is the personality of Godhead. So it is said that I heard, from many times in the past, that's when the Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, who never leaves Vrindavan, remained in Vrindavan, and the Vasudeva Krishna is the one who went to Mathura. So she Radhika heard that. I also heard it. I said I would reference it, and I couldn't find the point of reference. Here's what I found. There's a reference in an obscure book, and it says that Krishna was placed in a basket on the head of Nanda Maharaj. And behind Nanda Maharaj was not Anantashesh, but according to this particular reference, I'm going to read it in a moment, it was Vasuki. Vasuki, who was used in the churning of the milk ocean, not Vasuki. So here's the book is Krishna Vijay. The author is Gunaraj Khan. And I didn't do any research on who's Gunaraj Khan, but here's what he writes. Vasudeva placed the child Krishna in a basket, put him on his head, and left for Gokula. He looked as if he was carrying the moon. Goddess Mahamaya walked ahead of Vasudeva in the form of a she-jackal, and the serpent Vasuki spread his hoods above Krishna. Vasudeva became very frightened when he saw the huge waves of Yamuna. Just then a voice from the sky said, "Don't be afraid. Look, how even a jackal is crossing the river." Mahamaya. This assurance made Vasudeva somewhat pacified, so he slowly entered the waters of the Yamuna. Then I put in bigger letters, "At that moment, Lord Govinda remembered something from the past." Doesn't say later what he remembered. And suddenly he slipped out of Vasudeva's hand and fell in the water. Now, any of the other references, multiple references, that make no mention of Krishna falling in the water. But it's a story that I heard, and Sri Radhika heard, and maybe some of you have heard. I heard it many times, but no scriptural reference. So I asked a number of learned scholars if they have a scriptural reference for that. And that's the switcheroo. Vasudeva Krishna, who doesn't enter Vrindavan, is the Swayam Bhagavan Krishna who is in Vrindavan. It's clear so far, right? And Gopal Champa says something else. Gopal Champa, this is Jiva Goswami, and in Gopal Champa he speaks of the Immaculate Conception, or writes, Yashoda saw a child whose limbs were covered by a celestial maiden. Doesn't say who that celestial maiden is, but Yogamaya, being transferred from Nanda's heart to her heart. The boy entered into the lotus of her heart, and the girl entered her womb. So there's two places. There's Yashoda's heart, and there's Yashoda's womb. This is Gopal Champu. We take Jiva Goswami as super authoritative. He doesn't give a scripture reference, he's just writing a Champu. And then later, in Gopal Champu, Yashoda fainted when she gave birth to Krishna. She didn't know if she had given birth to a son or a daughter. Actually, she gave birth to twins. One son and one daughter, but she didn't know it. Don't ask me to explain that one. But by the activity of Yogamaya, all the Vrajvasis were sleeping. And then when Vasudeva brought his son Vasudeva, so there wasn't a switcheroo until this moment, according to Gopal Champu. Vasudeva Krishna was brought to the maternity room of Yashoda as a plenary portion of Krishna. Yes? I'm just going slowly because I like to be clear. At least what he's expressing. Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, is a plenary portion of Krishna. And, the four-armed Vishnu showed himself coming directly from the womb with all the symbols of Vishnu and, not like a normal baby coming out of the womb of the mother. Vasudeva as the plenary expansion of. Then Vasudeva took Nanda's daughter. By the activity of Yogamaya, Vasudeva could see only the daughter. He could not see the son. Seeing only Yashoda's daughter, Vasudeva took her, and Krishna remained there. But Vasudeva entered into Krishna. So that's the merging. And there's one Krishna. And that's one Krishna is the son of Yashoda. And the son of Yashoda is Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. And then this, nice painting. There's the daughter. Krishna is the darker color. The daughter is the fairer color. And it was dark. She had fallen asleep from after childbirth. She just zonked out, and she didn't know what was going on, and Nanda didn't know what was going on, and Vasudeva kind of knew what was going on. And the kind of knew what was going on is he just saw a girl. There's other little passage that says, Yogamaya had hidden Krishna from Vasudeva's sight. So both Krishna and the girl were there, but he didn't see the boy because Yogamaya had concealed Krishna from Vasudeva's sight. So when he set Vasudeva Krishna down, the Vasudeva Krishna merged with the other Krishna, or the Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, the son of Yashoda. And then he took the female child and did all the rest of what we all know he did. He went back across the river Yamuna and safely reached the other side, and the guards who had fallen asleep, they still didn't wake up. They didn't hear him and didn't see him. And then the prison doors closed, the locks went back into place, and as if nothing happened. So nobody knew except Vasudeva and Devaki. And of course, Krishna also knew. And Yogamaya also knew. So 4 people knew. At least those 4 people knew. But Nanda and Yashoda didn't know anything about anything. But they weren't supposed to know. Okay, so that's a few of the mysteries from yesterday. And if I get a reply, is there scriptural evidence to indicate these two things? When Krishna fell into the river Jamuna, and Jiva Goswami doesn't speak anything about. In fact, no one of the other sources, other than Govindaraj Khan, speaks about Krishna falling in the water. But there may be some other references. Let's see how it happens. And of course, if I get back any word from our scholarly Vaishnavas, I'll let you know. So here we go. Krishna just appeared in the prison house of Kamsa. When Vasudeva saw his extraordinary son, his eyes were struck with wonder. Because as you recall what we heard, he was born with symbols of Vishnu. He was born with Kastuva gem. He didn't have a peacock feather yet. The mark of Shivatsa in his chest, and ornaments and jewelry, and children don't appear like that. There's a whole other thing that goes on, but not that. In transcendental jubilation, Vasudeva mentally collected 10,000 cows and then distributed them among the Brahmanas as a transcendental festival. So he's a Brahmana. No, he's a Kshatriya Vaishnava. And he is honoring the Brahmanas by giving cows and charity to the Brahmanas. But because he's in prison, the only way he can do it is in his mind, so he does it in his mind. And as he looked at the child, here's what he saw. There's like several astonishments. How astonishing! Parameshwara, whose darshan is hard to achieve, even for the most exalted, liberated sages, has descended in my dwelling and become visible to me, a soul inwardly bound in ignorance, bound by ignorance, and bound outwardly by Kamsa. Now, the person who's the commentator giving this list of amazements is Vishwanath. And Vishwanath, this is my appreciation of Vishwanath, he's a Rasika Bhakta. He's highly learned, so he knows things that most of us don't know, and even learned persons don't know, but he knows so many things. Vasudeva, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So he's going to enter into some rasa topics quickly. A second wonder. Even the Supreme Brahman, who pervades all, has taken birth from a human womb. Now this is the Immaculate Conception, a part of the Immaculate Conception idea. But the Supreme comes in a human-like form in the womb of a human, his wife. Third, the boy, who is already characterized by ornaments such as a crown, earrings, various weapons, and armlets, has come out of a womb, ready to go. Fourth wonder, the primeval Purusha. Now he's an elevated Vaishnava. He's not an ordinary Vaishnava. So he knows the scripture. The primeval Purusha, who even frightens personified death, because of whom a living being is afraid, has accepted me, whom afraid from fearing Kamsa, as his own father, although he is Bhagavan. The Lord is addressed here in this verse that we're discussing right now. He's addressed in two ways, as both as Hari and Sutta, because simultaneously Vasudeva knew him to be the Lord, thus Hari, but also his son, or Sutta. On the birth of an ordinary child, a father will celebrate. This is again commentary, Vishwanath, will celebrate with charity and meditation. What should I do in this condition when the Lord is born as my son? I'm in prison. I can't. What charity can I give? And what meditations can I do? Thinking like this, respectfully and filled with joy, Vasudeva submerged in an ocean of bliss and gave cows in charity to brahmanas in his mind. So that was verse 11. We're moving right along. We're still in Canto 10, chapter 3, and we made it as far as verse number 11. And now we're ready for verse number 12. Vasudeva could understand that this child was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. He's astonished. And he has this realization. He's an elevated Vaishnava who's realized this super excellent fortune. Having concluded this, without a doubt, he became fearless. Now, there's a contrasting verse. Where does fear arise from? Bhayam dutiyam abhiniveshitak syat. When there's abhinivesh, when there's absorption in dutiyam, the duality. The duality is not understanding ourselves to be spirit, thinking of ourselves to be matter. Dutiyam. And one is absorbed in the concept of duality, there's fear. But he's now become fearless, without a doubt. And he's in a prison. And there's danger. Like before too long, he's going to start offering wonderful, wonderful prayers. Devaki's going to offer there's some passage of time. But Kamsa's going to know the 8th child of Devaki was born. And he's going to come and try to kill the child. He's already sent his other 17 wives out of town on the other side of the Jamuna, because Kamsa's a wild man and he could do anything at any time. And he knows it. He's already killed 6 of his children. So, but he's fearless. So then his actions are not arising from fear or protection of the body. His concern is the safety. Is it rational? It's not rational. If he understands he's the personality of Godhead, why does he have to leave? Because Kamsa might come and do something. And Devaki, same thing. Is it rational? No. If it's not rational, what is it? It's irrational. It's devotional. Because they have parental affection mixed with with majesty. They understand the majesty. He's showing them. Haribol. And so they have these two emotions. It's rasa. The position of parental affection, which is certainly a rasa, and so they want to protect. They're dependent. But their dependent is protecting them. He doesn't need any protection. So there's fearlessness and the parental affection mode at the same time. Bowing down with folded hands and concentrating his attention, he began to offer prayers to the child who illuminated his birthplace by his natural effulgence. The birthplace is the prison. So the prison is all now lit, luminous, by the source of light, the source of everything. So it's probably pretty bright in there. And now comes some philosophy. I hope you are ready for some philosophy, because that's what's coming. It's he, the father, Vasudeva, is going to offer prayers to this newborn child. His child. What was Vasudev's condition in offering his prayers? He lost his fear of Kamsa. But would he not be afraid that Kamsa's guards would hear when he offered his prayers? Jiva Goswami writes, Vasudev knew the power of the Lord. He thought, what can these inferior rascals do to of Kamsa do? So he goes ahead and offers prayers. They're not silent prayers, they're audible. Baladev Vidyabhusan writes, upon realizing that this person, the Supreme Lord, is our son, Vasudeva became Gata, Bhi. His fear, which occurred by seeing the killing of his previous son, ceased because he knows the Lord's valor. And then again, Vishwanath. Krishna. There's a dialogue going on between Krishna and Vasudeva. My father fears Kamsa for my sake. Therefore, he, Vasudeva, should perceive me as the Lord and become fearless. Of course, he's already become fearless. And Sridhar Swami, the original commentator on the Bhagavatam, it's really nice to get the translation of his commentaries because it's not often translated, although he commented on the whole thing. Therefore, even though at first Vasudeva saw Krishna in terms of putra buddhi, the concept of his being the son, he now gives it up and says, vidito asi, I now understand, I know, and so on. So he's going to, with these other words, he's going to reveal not his parental affection, but his knowledge and the majesty of Krishna. So Krishna may be saying, what do you understand? What do you know about me? Philosophy, right? Shri Vasudeva Uvacha. Very beautiful artificial intelligence drawing. So here's the words that the vidito see and other words that are color-coded, so we're going to go through. Purusha Prakrite Para. Purusha Prakrite Para. He's transcendental to Prakriti. And so on. Sarva Bodhi Drik. Vasudeva said, you are the Supreme Purusha. Beyond material existence, Prakrite Para. You are the Super Soul and Supreme Observer of everyone's intelligence, Sarva Bodhi Drik. This is his first prayer. He's acknowledging what he's seeing, what has been revealed to him. And from a later verse, this is the next text, 13. Your form can be perceived by transcendental knowledge, by which you can be understood as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I now understand your position perfectly. Now, how can one understand the unlimited perfectly, but as perfectly as the limited could understand? That's how. Jiva Goswami's comment. You see the demigods in the background. There's Vasudeva and Devaki with shackles on their arms. On top of all the above, you are directly seen. Sakshad viditosi. That's how the verse 12 begins. Aho, I have seen such immense good fortune. This babbling child, mother, you're used to your babbling child, and we're not. If it continues, please do the needful, and I guarantee it's going to continue. I have such an immense good fortune, either because of this happening to me or because you are obtained as the sun. This is Jiva Goswami's commentary. Krishna, how else is my form seen? Jiva Goswami goes on, your own form, Swarup, is in the devotee, meaning you have a manifestation in them whose bliss occurs by unique realization, spurti, a vision in the mind, which is outside the scope of logical arguments and the like. Kevala, Anubhavananda Swarup. He, Vasudeva, is experiencing very special ecstasy and having these realizations. Someone might think, why is this excessive praise of someone who has entered Devaki's womb? Therefore, Vasudeva says, you did not enter Devaki's womb. What? He will explain this in universal creation, in co-relation to universal creation in verses 14 through 17. So this is the philosophy. My Lord, you, so that's a nice painting, a B.G. Sharma classic painting, there with palms folded, looking at Vasudeva Krishna, newly born within the past hour or two. You are the same person who, in the beginning, created this material world by his personal energy. After the creation of this world, of the three gunas, you appear to have entered it, although in fact you have not. Now this is I call it Upanishadic double talk. This, but not this. That, but not that. You're outside, but you're inside. Behold Krishna says, behold my mystic opulence. Here's Prabhupada's commentary on this section. Krishna's entrance and at the same time non-entrance into the material world is explained with the following references. Here's from Bhagavad Gita. The material world, Bhumi, Rapona, Vayu, etc. This material world of three modes of nature is a composition of earth, water, fire, mind, air, mind, intelligence, and false ego, all of which are energies coming from Krishna. Yet Krishna, being always transcendental, is aloof from this material world. So he's not of the world. Srila Prabhupada in his purport quotes this verse. Then he quotes the Brahma Samhita verse. Eko pyasara jayatam jagadanda kotim yachaktirasti jagadanda chayayadanta andantarasta paraman chayantarastam govindamadi purusham amaham bhaja. Translation, I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, the original personality of Godhead. By his partial expansion as Mahavishnu, he enters into material nature. Then he enters every universe as Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And he enters all the elements, including every atom of matter, as Kshirodakshay Vishnu. Next verse. Yasyaika nishvasitamakala bhatavalambhya jivanti loma vidaja jagadandanataha vishnor mahan sahiyasya kalabhishesho govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Translation, Mahavishnu lies on the causal ocean, and when he exhales, millions of Brahmandas, or universes, come from the pores of his body. Then, when Mahavishnu inhales, all these Brahmandas disappear. He has a long breathing period. Verses 15 to 17 explain about the entrance and non-entrance of material elements into creation. So the first is slow motion. The first is he creates everything, enters into everything, it doesn't enter into everything. Next, the elements of material creation. He enters into the elements of material creation and doesn't enter into the elements of material creation. He's a magician. The Mahatattva, or the undivided total material energy, appears to separate into these five elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, during creation. These separated energies combine to make the cosmic manifestation visible, including the gross bodies of living entities. Other manifestations of Prakriti, etc., are made with these five elements. In this sense, they seem to have entered into creation. Now, these are three acharyas commenting on this one verse to help understand how philosophical Vasudeva is. And maybe we're not so philosophical, so we're scratching our head a little bit. What are they saying? So he enters into everything and doesn't enter into everything because he has his own existence. And then the elements are manifest, and then he enters within all the elements, but he doesn't enter within the elements. He enters within every atom, but he is separate from the atom. It's mystical, or it seems contradictory. But, in fact, before the creation of the cosmos, the total energy was already present. Therefore, the total material energy never actually enters into creation. Wait a minute. Then what's the creation? So there's levels of understanding the creation. It's like, what's the Virat Rupa? The form of the universe. Virat Rupa, the form of the universe. And then there's how many descriptions are there of Virat Rupa? Depends on how many examples, how many times they're narrated, but they're very different. The narrations are very different. It's one Virat Rupa, but seen through a different lens or for a different purpose. And it's like, one object seen by different people. It's the same object. And they describe, like the elephant, the tail and the trunk and the torso and the legs, and it's all elephant, but they're seeing from different vantage point. This isn't the elephant. No, that's the elephant. So Virat Rupa is something like that. It's diverse in its explanation, but it's one Virat Rupa. That's one part of all of this. And then another part is, what is it? Is it, or is it substantial or is it insubstantial? The universe seems to be pretty substantial. Take the table and whack the table on somebody's head and do, ouch. It's substantial. But it's insubstantial. In another sense, in a philosophical sense. Because now you see it, now you don't. That kind of insubstantial. Substance, sat. Substance or sat is permanent. It's eternal. And the cosmic manifestation is not eternal. Now you see it, now you don't. It's not substantial. In that sense, it's not substantial. So, therefore, the total material energy never actually enters into the creation. The total material energy is Krishna's energy, and he can extend it and withdraw it, but it's his energy. And when it's extended, it appears to be substantial, but it's not. It's now you see it, now you don't. And that's not substantial. It's something. It's Maya. Now you see it, now you don't. It's philosophy. Don't worry about it. Jiva Goswami comments, entering means that a person outside enters within. Just like, the room is filling up here. And before the room was filling up here, there weren't a lot of us here. There was a little kirtan going on, and then after some time, we're all going to go some other place, most likely, except the people that live here. I hope you still stay. So, and then they're going to leave at some point too. Entering means that a person outside enters within, since the elements already existed as the cause, that is, in their unmanifest state, the elements exist, and then they become manifest. Aprakat becomes prakat. There's the stage where it's before the mahatattva, where the element differentiate, it's just energy, it's pradhan. They're different states of prakriti, and one of them is the unmanifested, undifferentiated state. And then they start to differentiate, and then they start to form things, like, a universe or something. Simply manifest as the effect within the universe, they really do not enter. These teachings are resting, it's Gaudiya Vaishnavism, or it's Achinta Beda Abeda Tattva teaching of Lord Chaitanya, but it's from the Upanishads. It's not, from the air. It's based upon the Upanishadic references, this and that simultaneously, and how can be this and that simultaneously? By the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Lord. Whoops, Jiva Goswami goes on. This is Vishwanath. This above verse is given as an example to explain Krishna's entrance versus non-entrance into Devaki's womb. Now, it's getting really subtle. Did he enter Devaki's womb or not? Well, he did and he didn't. Very clever, huh? You enter into Devaki's womb just like the undifferentiated Mahatattva and other elements enter the universe but do not enter it. The macro becomes the micro, or the material material creation is a grosser manifestation of the subtler. That the gross is resting upon the subtle. Without the subtle, the gross doesn't take shape. So in the primordial sense, pursuing an understanding of the absolute truth, which is what's going on here, Vasudeva has just made a statement about his son, and now he's a lawyer making his case. Based upon Upanishadic statements, his realizations are resting upon the Vedas, and he's explaining his realization of, you're my son, but you're not really my son. Because you're the primordial Supreme Lord. How can you be somebody's son? But you've done it. You've come as my son. And I'm realizing who you are. You are this, inside and outside of everything kind of person. The elements are touched by the gunas, and then comes the prakriti and the modes of nature under which the prakriti is governed. But you, as the supreme cause, are not touched by the gunas, though you enter into the universe through the gunas and the Purusha avatars. Though you appear to be born, you're not. You're my son, but you're not my son. And I've realized who you are. There he is, looking behind a curtain. Similarly, although you are perceived by our senses because of your presence, you cannot be perceived by the senses, nor experienced by the mind or words. Avan manasa gochara. Another meaning of gunai can mean with qualities. You exist with qualities. This is Sridhar Swami. Such as being under the control of prema. Now, this is rasa. Why does Krishna appear as the son of Devaki when he has no appearance? He has the love of Yashoda. That's why. And so he manifests himself in the form of a little child, but in the prison house of Kamsa, he doesn't appear like, he appears before Yashoda. They both have prema, but she has a particular kind of prema. You have attraction to such qualities. The all attractive becomes attracted by the love of the devotee. Since you are the supreme cause, you also do not enter or touch the universe. Thus, when you enter it, it is your great mercy. You have appeared as our son. This is the greatest result for us. So now we're going back to besides the philosophy, the situation. He's in the prison house. He's looking at this little child, and he's expressing his realizations. After hearing the entrance versus non-entrance aspect of Krishna into the cosmic creation, someone might think the world is unreal, but it looks real. Anticipating this, Vasudeva says the following two verses. Again, he's like a lawyer presenting his case. Now, Krishna's a good jury, because he already knows. Foolish people consider the body to be independent of the soul. Learned people reject such conclusions. Learned Vedic scholars conclude that the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the entire cosmic manifestation are performed by you, although he doesn't do any of those things. Your form is transcendental, yet for the maintenance of the three worlds, you assume the forms of guna avatars. Vasudeva is quite a person. Krishna has become his son, and he's saying all these prayers to Krishna in super clarity, with high erudition. We're not likely to offer those prayers. We're not likely to have that erudition. We're not likely to have that devotion. But we're hearing from one who does. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, here's how Krishna is hearing these prayers. Well, Father, factually, you know the truth about me. If you understand why I descend to your house, tell me then. Now, you have appeared in my house desiring to protect this world. This is why. I am sure that you will kill all the armies. He's praying to this little baby that just was born a few hours ago. I'm sure that you will kill all the armies that are moving all over the world under the leadership of politicians who are dressed as Kshatriya rulers, but who are factually demons. Since I only desire you, you descended in my dwelling, although it's a prison. Srila Prabhupada writes, it is said, Kali Kali Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. The Hare Krishna movement is also an incarnation of Krishna in the form of the holy name, Nama Rupe. He goes on, every one of us who is actually afraid of asuric rulers and politicians must welcome this incarnation of Krishna. Here we go again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Then we will surely be protected from the harassment of Asuric rulers. Vasudeva thinks, by his mercy, I understand everything about his supreme godhood. Nonetheless, my lack of discernment is an ocean that I find difficult to cross. So I should let him know about the hard-heartedness of that big sinner Kamsa, who is just about to come here. So he's still offering prayers, and the internal processing as the prayers are moving are being shared by our acharyas. After hearing the prophecy that you would take birth in our home and kill him, this uncivilized Kamsa killed so many of your elder brothers. As soon as he hears that you have appeared, he will immediately come with weapons to kill you. Now, this is the fatherly part. He's just shifted from the Aishvarya part to the Madhurya part, to the Vatsalya part. He's quite fluid. And both things are moving, raging within him. He's very advanced Vaishnav. Although Vasudeva knows the Lord's might and knows him in terms of the father-son relationship, he talks while fearing Kamsa due to a rise of Vatsalya, which is the nature of that mood. Step back from the scene, and what's going on? Why does Krishna appear? Because of the love of Vasudeva and Devaki in a particular mood. And he's shifting, he's going to shift momentarily, he's going to shift to the other side of the river, Jamuna, because of the parental affection of Yashoda and Deva and Nand Maharaj. Yeah, excuse me. So he's reciprocating the love of his devotees. This is rasa. And then there's other things and other things. There are characteristics of Krishna. One of them is, by one thing, he's accomplishing many things. But principal amongst those many things is rasa. He's enjoying their love. He's reciprocating with their love for him. He's stimulating their love for him in this way, that way. So the parental affection part of Vasudeva is being stimulated, and it's rising. It's like the waves of a river, and sometimes the river is down, the wave is down, and sometimes it's up. Now it's going Vatsalya up. Very beautiful painting. Perceiving her husband's fear, Devaki becomes afraid, Bita. She becomes extremely agitated and speaks as follows. But guess what? We ran out of time. We'll hear it tomorrow night. What to do? Isn't it nice just spending an evening just immersed in Krishna thought? Because our lives are, it reminds me a little bit of Bhishma Dev. When the time for his passing came, his mind completely withdrew from the millions and millions of things that he does. And each of us, we may not have millions and millions, we have many things that occupy our mind instead of the Maha Mantra. We pick up our bead bag, and all the things that we're supposed to do come into the mind. And we have to have the training to at least for that part of our day, just immerse the mind in Krishna, sound vibration, and nothing else. And practice and practice. And At the end of your life, may you just be fixed on Krishna. And then this same, in principle, this opportunity here, that the name, form, qualities, pastime, the nature of Krishna. The nature of Krishna is being revealed. Vasudeva gets it. He has been given it. And then the section that we didn't hear, which was chapter 2, there's this very detailed explanation that Krishna, this is coming up. Krishna is going to respond to Vasudeva and Devaki, who they were in their previous lives, and how many tens of thousands of years of austerities they did. And Krishna came as their son by this name, that name. And now I'm coming in this form, because you're my dear devotees. So there may be some time and some austerity and some, investment with faith in the very process of purification. So be very clear what the process of purification is, and do it again. So nityam bhagavata sevaya. Nityam literally means always, and it can also properly be translated as regularly. So this is our time together to hear with immersion in the appearance of Krishna, the anticipation of Krishna's appearance in a few days at midnight. It will be, we're preparing ourselves for that. And then the joyous celebration. And we heard already at the beginning of this chapter, when Krishna appears, everything becomes joyous. So may we all, with proper preparation, become joyous in Krishna Janmashtami. And remember, these pieces of all of what we've heard in the course of the prayers of Vasudeva, and then the prayers of Devaki, and then what Krishna does, and then his entering into the where Nanda and Yashoda are. It's all very wonderful. It's all being orchestrated, simply stimulating the love of his devotees. And the most exalted most of his devotees are the residents of Vrindavan. We hear it again and again. It's a very nice example. Krishna's in Mathura, and he's feeling great separation from the residents of Vrindavan, Vrajvasis. And particularly he's feeling the keen, loving separation from the gopis and their love for him. So what's he going to do? He's going to send Uddhava, his dearmost associate in Mathura, to carry his message to the gopis. And when he goes, the first place he goes is the house of Nanda and Yasoda, because he's paying respects to the elder. And when he comes in to see Nanda and Yasoda, they're just crying and crying and crying. They don't even recognize that someone has come in the room, because they're highly cultured people. They would certainly honor, but they're practically blinded with their tears of feelings of love and separation. And so what's Krishna feeling towards them? That's their feeling towards him. That's what he's feeling, because that's Krishna's nature. And then when he has some exchange with them, he realizes, wow, that's why Krishna sent me here, to see the kind of love of the residents of Vraja. That their love is so intense and so unmixed with anything other than just Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. This is an amazing place, Vrindavan. Krishna must be feeling such intensity of love. He's intimate associate of Krishna, so he knows Krishna's heart. Now he's getting it first-hand experience. And then he goes and meets the cowherd boys, and he meets the other elder gopas and gopis. Then he meets Krishna's gopis. It's quite a chapter. Okay, so let's see if there's some comments or discussion. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. A comment and then a question. When Parikshit was attacked by the Brahmastra, he saw the form of the Lord, and I was thinking of when in the slides where you talked about entrance and non-entrance in Devaki's womb, in that purport,
Yes.
Prabhupada writes he came by the energy, by his own internal energy. So I don't know. I drew parallels. Is that a
Yeah, it's different but similar, quite similar.
Yeah. The question is, early on in the slides, you had there was a phrase that's you said in the wonderment, where Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur he writes in that section. Something to the effect that the form was seen by transcendental knowledge. There was the phrase, the form was perceived by transcendental knowledge. And I was also thinking in Brahma Samhita we hear Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochana. So that transcendental knowledge is this Prema Bhakti we are talking about.
Well, yes and no. There's transcendental knowledge. There are Gyanis that have transcendental knowledge, but they don't see the form as the residents, as Vasudeva and Devaki were seeing the form. They have a different idea that the term was used spurti. Spurti means in a moment of jubilation of heart, something may appear within the heart momentarily and then disappear. So they with transcendental knowledge may have such an experience. That's not a guarantee, but they may have such an experience. But it's not the same as what's happening with Vasudeva and Devaki. He's their child. They're holding him in their arms and seeing him in their face to face when he's in his full human-like stature. So the direct experience is different than the transcendental knowledge experience. Bhakti is different than Gyan. There's knowledge within bhakti, but it's of another quality, a matured quality, matured by bhakti. I can say the same thing another way. Another way, this is more philosophical, but to the degree that Gyan, it has some degree of bhakti, then that Gyan can be effective. And then there's bhakti that's unmixed with Gyan. The bhakti that's unmixed with Gyan doesn't mean that Vasudeva or highly elevated Vaishnavas don't have knowledge. They just have Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanina. They just have, their eyes are tinged with the salve of love, and they don't really understand A to Z or ABC. They're not Gyanis. So simple-hearted devotee can have realizations that not from the study of the Vedas, but from the reciprocation with Krishna, and they can realize things about Krishna that it's not due to their study. So I'm helping or muddying? Okay. You're enthusiastic.
Hare Krishna,
There
Guru
we go.
Maharaj. So I heard in the beginning of the class when you were mentioning about Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. So Krishna, who was brought by Vasudeva to Mother Yashoda, was a Vasudeva Krishna.
That's what Jiva Goswami says.
And then you mentioned that Mother Yashoda also gave birth to a
Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, the original Krishna.
so that was original Krishna, and then they merged.
Because she's in Vrindavan.
She's in Vrindavan.
She's a Vrajavasi.
Okay. So then, whenever, like when Krishna went to Dwarka, was that Vasudeva Krishna?
Oh yeah, it wasn't the Swayam. It wasn't Nandana Krishna. He stayed, but an expansion went.
Thank you, Guru.
Okay. Right next to you. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
I go.
In the slides where Vasudeva says the Krishna asks his question that, why am I here? And then Vasudeva answers that, you were, the purpose of your existence is this, you are here to kill Kamsa and do all the things. Then why he felt the fear that Kamsa going to come and kill him, because he knows everything.
Parental affection. He has a mix. Understand here. He has a sense of the Aishvarya and mixed. It's called mixture of rasas in Rupa Goswami's Nectar Devotion. And parental affection. So sometimes the Aishvarya predominates. That wave is up. And sometimes that wave is down and the parental affection is up. So he seems to forget what he knew.
Mm-hmm. Is it the attachment of...
It's transcendental parental affection. And it's so strong, it eclipses his Aishvarya. And it didn't disappear, it's the river still there. But what that wave of the river at that time is parental affection. And I have to protect. Whoever you may be, I have to protect you.
Why I'm asking this question is...
It's a very reasonable question.
Yeah. No, I'm just relating this situation to something. So even though we have the faith on Krishna that, when we are going through tough situations, we kind of this gut feeling that, everything will be all right. This is just a passing moment. But still you have that worry, still you have the stress and fear. How to overcome that?
Oh, okay. That's another topic.
Yeah, I know.
I'll share with you. The question you just asked in different ways is a favorite topic amongst college kids. And there's different ways of asking the question, but it's the essence of, how to deal with negative emotions, how to overcome negative emotions. There's, one kind, another kind, the other kind, another kind, another kind. And there's stages depending upon where you are. It's chapter 2. Tongues atiksha swabharata, because you understand it's temporary. As you said, matras, parashas, konteas, satoshnas, agama. Tongues atiksha swabharata. You tolerate it. You overlook the temporary and instead, you take shelter of what's beyond the temporary. Now, where do you get the strength to do that? Because I know, but right, at least at the moment, this duality thing has got a hold of me. So then, you in the moment, there's different things you can do, but in the moment, this is a phrase that I use. It's not specifically a Bhagavad Gita verse, but pause or introspect, because mode of goodness. You go to the mode of goodness. And you step back from the emotion, the mind, the movie that's going on in the mind. Because after all, you can acknowledge it's just a movie, and I'm reacting to the movie that's in the mind. There's the sense objects, the perceiving of the sense objects, and the mind is processing from the signal that came from the senses of the sense object that's out there. And then there's by contemplating the object of the senses, there's some feeling. And then with the feeling, then there's, the desire to do something. And you're caught up in the movie. It's just illusory. So the pause is step back, mode of goodness, introspect. What's going on here? You touch reality instead of illusion. And I'm the observer of this mind, and within the mind there's emotion, and within the triggering the motion is the circumstance. And this is being brought to me. Why? Your question is Sanatana Goswami's question to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Tapatraya Anmulanam. Why am I experiencing the threefold miseries? Why? So now that's a philosophical question. So answering philosophical questions requires a mode of goodness mode. Contemplating what you described is a mode of goodness introspection. Then you touch base with Sat instead of Asat. So at least you're going in that direction towards Sat, away from Asat, and you're reflecting. This is temporary. Not really me. It's a movie, and I'm identifying with the movie, or the drama of illusion, and I don't like it. But I can't just check the box and I'm out of here, because it doesn't work like that. Then I have to cultivate Sat to move away from Asat. I have to turn the light on in order to dissipate the darkness. So let me do that. That's something I can choose, and I'm not controlled by. No one can force me, and no one can stop me. Going towards Sat. And how do I know? Then you have Scripture. And those that teach Scripture, those that live it and model it, and let me go there as a choice. And you keep making that choice and making that choice, and in life making that choice. There are going to be weaker times, and I get sucked into the movie again. But let me make my life choice going towards Sat. And then from Sat, then comes Chit, then comes Ananda. So you cultivate. And ideal is what Prahlad Maharaj says, from the tender age of childhood. Now, some of us have been very fortunate, and some of us are less fortunate in terms of the training that we received and propensities that are built within us from our previous lives. But wherever we are, that's where we are. And we go forward according to what the light of the Bhagavad teaches us, as we can. We slip and fall and tumble and get back up again, and keep going towards the light. That's a principle. Tamasi ma jyotir gama. Say no to tamasa and say yes to jyoti. And you cultivate, you practice, and it becomes second nature. That distress situation is the illness, that's the disease. I want wellness, not illness. So follow the prescription, take the medicine, and do the do's and avoid the don'ts as the doctor prescribes, and the wellness will come. I have faith in the doctor, in his medicine. And it may take a while. Who knows how long it'll take, but however long, that's how long. Depends on the severity of the disease, that's how long. And good physician, good medicine, good following. And then the kaleidoscope moves, the whole picture changes. Have you met devotees? I'm sure you've met devotees that they, in their sharing, they're discussing, 5 years ago, I was way over there. I was in that darkness space, and I don't know what happened. I can't describe how it happened, but I don't have that same stuff. And then there's some words that go, in the beginning of my Krishna Bhakti, it was like lots of light, and something happened, the light went out. Or it got dimmer. Like, what happened? There's that one too. That's the slackening or laxity in when making that connection. There's a whole teaching in Bhakti, or the teachings are there. The map is there. The GPS works. Just keep your GPS on and know the destination and keep going. Others? Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Powerful young lady over there.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. In a section of today's lecture, you were discussing about like the material world, how he enters but does not enter, and it was about the material world a little bit. So it reminded me of a question that I had. So we just finished the Krishna book recently, and in chapter 87, Prabhupada describes the different philosophies.
Do you know how to speak slowly?
Yes. So he
You
writes.
get excited, you go real quick, and you get excited, but keep it so I can hear everything.
Okay. So, according to Mayavada philosophy, Prabhupada writes, one of the core beliefs is that the material world is Maya or Mithya, false or illusory. And
They say it's false.
Yeah.
They say false. We say it's temporary. They say it doesn't exist.
Oh.
It's false. Here's a baseball bat. Bang! Doesn't exist. It's not sat. And therefore, it's asat. It just doesn't exist.
Okay. So, when devotees say that our material life is like a dream and spiritual life is like we're waking up from a dream, that basically means that dream is temporary, that
Yes,
they
temporary.
don't mean to say
That's
that
correct.
it's not.
That's correct. There's no substance.
Okay.
It's temporary.
So, it's not imagination.
It's not. It's insubstantial. There's an experience. Suppose like fear. It can grip one and turn one upside down and shake one like anything. So it's not non-existent. It's not false in that sense, but it's not who we really are. Back to this question of, emotion that I know the philosophy, you check the boxes, I get an A in my Bhakti Shastri, but so there's still the misidentification. It's not matured yet. The realization is not matured yet. That's okay. You have to start somewhere. And then you practice and practice and practice according to good physician, good teacher, good teaching, good medicine, and you keep doing. And did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good.
Can I ask another one, if that's okay?
You want another one? Sure.
Yeah, last one.
Part 2.
So I heard that in Vrindavan, you shut the curtains off in the evening because the lordships like Krishna and Radha, all of the gopis, they perform pastimes, they do the rasa dance at night. So I was wondering if in temples outside of Vrindavan, like even in Naperville and Chicago, when we shut the curtains off, do the deities do pastimes around the temple?
You're asking very confidential questions, young lady. You got to have a pass to get the answer to that question. The password. You want the password? Prema. Now, the philosophy is one thing. Then then the experience of the philosophy is yet another thing. The philosophy is wherever Krishna is, everything is there. His whole spiritual abode is there. I'll share something that Prabhupada said in this regard. The language was different. One of the temples at one time was in Brooklyn on Henry Street. It was a rented building. The language at the time was a double brownstone building because the covering or the facing was brown stone, so brownstone building. And it was rented building, and the deities were on, just it was a walk up, and then big temple room, and then the deities on one end and Prabhupada on the other end. And so every morning, Mangalarti, and then when Prabhupada would visit, after Guru Puja, then becomes the morning class. Prabhupada seated on the Vyasa-san, saying to all of us, this temple is not in Brooklyn. It's in Vaikuntha. His eyes got really big. And then, same thing. The deities moved to Manhattan. The temple is not in Manhattan. The temple is in Vaikuntha. And I was told, I wasn't there, because I was there for those two. He said the same thing in Los Angeles. The temple is not in Los Angeles, in Vaikuntha. So wherever the deity, wherever Krishna is, the whole spiritual abode and paraphernalia and associates and pastimes and what have you, the whole spiritual world is there. So that answers your question. It's not prakat, but that's the transcendental reality.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Somebody else? Yeah. Amrita Kelly.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. I'm just slowly, I think, after all these years of hearing from you, slowly starting to appreciate the contradictions that we hear. I used to get agitated. How can Krishna do like this or like that? It's actually beautiful to see that. And one thing is, this evening we were talking, they're Vasudev's prayers, they're rational at one point, and it just shifts to devotional, you're mentioning.
It's quite irrational. He understands this and that, the other thing and the other thing, what he's going to do with Kamsa and the other thing and the other thing, and I have to protect him. It's not a lack of pure devotion, it's a certain type of pure devotion. And the intensity of parental affection is intense. But what he's experiencing out of fear for the safety of Krishna is not the same as the emotion of Nanda and Jasoda when Krishna leave Vrindavan. But although he never leave Vrindavan, which is another contradiction.
Yeah, I was just actually about to bring up that topic. Rajavasis, Nanda Maharaj or Yashoda Mata, they don't even go into that rational space. They're like completely immersed in that devotional, and they don't even think of Krishna as a supreme Lord.
The sweetness is so strong, it eclipses the Aishwarya. They don't even see it. Even when Krishna shows it, they don't see it. They see something else, according to their quality of their love. And it's true for all of us. According to our disposition, what's inside comes out. And so that's their quality, and they're so exalted. All the residents of Vrindavan are so exalted. That's the only conclusion one can reach. Okay, someone else. Oh, you got your own. Okay. Shri Radhika. She's out with the deities on the altar watching class. Go ahead.
She has a question. I have a question, Raj.
Okay.
Her question is, can you please explain Vasudev's statement, quote, "My lack of discernment is an ocean that I find difficult to cross." She says, I don't understand what is this discernment in relation to. And the reason she's asking is because she'd like to develop better discernment.
Well, each of us, discernment means to, this is this and that's that. You know, like intelligence is discernment. For a child, something that's very easy to understand. In the beginning, there's oral fixation for a child. Anything goes in the mouth. Then after some time, there's the discernment between shoes go on my feet, food goes in my mouth, and my ear, my brother's ear doesn't go in my mouth. There, that's intelligence. And so it's the faculty that can one distinguish one thing from another thing. That's discernment. And he, Vasudeva, has this blend, as Brahma has a blend of affinity of love and devotion. And in Vasudeva's case, it's parental affection and so forth. In others, it's others. And then, but he's the supreme. So we've been discussing it. He moves between his parental affection. Krishna is his son. He's been awarded, and the prayers coming. What Krishna says to both of their prayers, he reveals the previous two lifetimes of both of them, and the intensity of sacrifice that they underwent in order to have Krishna as their son. And he agreed, and became their son. So there's the discerning capacity that Vasudeva carries, and there's the parental affection that's just eclipses the discernment. We already discussed this, and it's quite okay. It's just features of his love, one and the other. Or an endowment that Krishna has given him, his discerning capacity, and another is his parental affection capacity. They're not in conflict. They're just one rises, then the other one subsides. That's the nature of love. In transcendental, it's Krishna, 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 but the nature of this kind of love and the nature of that kind of love. There may be a mixture. Exactly what's just described in Rupa Goswami's writings. Your question?
Vasudeva's nature, character, personality has been, when I read this section of the Bhagavatam, I was very inspired, especially of how he so expertly dealt with the situation with Kamsa, as Kamsa was about to.
Oh, yeah.
His wisdom and speed of thought at that pregnant moment was just amazing.
He tried a few doors and they were locked, but so then one worked.
Yeah. My question, Maharaj, is I have considered trying to see all the sections of Bhagavatam where he has dialogue, and obviously there's one section where he's starting to glorify Krishna, and his depth of understanding Krishna is...
No, he means Vasudeva.
Vasudeva.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my thoughts are going to, when Krishna entered into his mind and then transferred to the mind and then the womb of Devaki, what was that experience for him when Krishna entered his mind? What does that mean? Like...
It means it's the fullness. There was no room for anything else. There was only thought of Krishna. That the light was so bright, there was no darkness. You can use metaphors to describe what it was like, what was the experience, because we don't have that experience. We can use metaphors. It's so bright, there was nothing else. And that emotion and that experience was transferred to his wife. And then there was a purpose for both, his mind, her mind, and that was Krishna's appearance. Okay. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Oh.
I would like to express my appreciation for, I mean, I've been hearing your classes like more regularly these days, and what I see is that like there is, I mean, when I read Bhagavatam or any scriptures, I just get one perspective of like, how it is described, but you take a lot of effort to make it very simplified, the vast literature of on these concepts, and explain to us in such a simplistic manner. I mean, for myself, I would not know what Gopal Champu is or what Vishwanath Chakravarti's like extensive commentaries, or I mean all the acharyas in this lineage have written extensive literature, but how you present it in a very simplistic manner for us to comprehend, I would just like to express my appreciation and sincere gratitude for presenting this material in such understandable way. So I just wanted to express my appreciation for that.
One of the texts that I gave a seminar on was Mana Shiksha. Mana Shiksha is a book of Raghunath Das Goswami instructing his mind, my dear mind. He's instructing his mind, teaching us by his example how we can instruct our mind. Shiksha, instruction. And become disciplined by that instruction. So there's a very nice verse that guides the rest of the book. If you at all, oh my dear mind, if you at all desire to reside eternally in Vrindavan, serving the divine couple Radha Krishna, then he gives two instructions into his mind. Give up pride. Dum bum hitva. Trash it. Get rid of it, pride. And then what's pride? And there's a whole other teaching on what pride is and how to get rid of pride. But abandon pride. And then that's the do not. And then the do is keep the intimate association of Rupa Goswami, Swarup Damodar, and Sanatana Goswami and their associates, the Goswamis. So because there are Goswamis, we may not be in touch with Vrindavan, but they are. And you just touch them, and you're in touch with Vrindavan because they're in touch with Vrindavan. You can be in touch with Vrindavan through them. So the attraction that I feel is eternal service of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. I want that. Not like, this is a crazy place, I want out of here. It's cuckoo. And people are nasty and vile and, and all of that stuff. But you can't make yourself clean by disliking the madness. So the instruction of Raghunath Das Goswami is a very clear guidance, and you go down that clear guidance path, and it's quite simple. There's intricacies, but they're simple. They're made simple by persons who are there. It doesn't come by intellectual prowess. It comes by bhakti. And then with bhakti, you've got your bhakti receiver on, and there's a broadcaster of lots of bhakti, and then it's clear. The signal is clear. And to transmit a clear signal is pretty easy. The process is easy.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Stay at the feet of exalted personalities that are in connection with Radha Krishna and their eternal pastimes in Vrindavan. And of course, somebody else will have another kind of bhakti. There's certainly very wonderful devotees, very advanced devotees that are absorbed in Ramayana. I mean, we're going to. I'm planning to go for almost a whole month to Sri Lanka and just discuss how the Sundarakanda, the beautiful love of Sundara, the beautiful love of Hanuman for Ram and Sita. And it's lovely. But it's not, it doesn't, one can have appreciation for, like the whole of the Bhagavatam. It's not only the 10th canto, the whole Bhagavatam is the whole Bhagavatam. And it leads one to that higher consciousness place, where then so many topics can stimulate loving attraction for the source of everything. Okay. I think I'm going to end. Nice note to end on. Srila Prabhupada ki.